Joining us now on the line is a man who understands that when it's 105 degrees outside, you should hydrate properly. And he's also...
He is nothing if not hydrated.
He is hydrated. And not only that, he happens to know everything there is to know about politics, and that's why we've really asked him on the program today. Byron York from the Washington Examiner. How are you, Byron?
Good morning, guys. Doing well.
Are you properly hydrated this morning?
I'm hydrated and cool at the moment.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
And if you're not in Prince George's County, you actually probably have water, and you've probably showered today. So
I am one of the lucky ones.
You're way ahead of a lot of other people today. Hey, listen, I want to start out by talking about the nuclear option. We have heard about the nuclear option from time to time in the United States Senate, but yesterday, as it has in the past, it was averted.
You know, this always happens. Go back to 2005, there was this very same fight, except it was over Democratic filibusters, and they were of judicial nominations. And Republicans, I think, credibly threatened to invoke this same procedural maneuver, the nuclear option, and they actually formed a gang, the Gang of 14, to negotiate this whole thing. And they came up with the same thing we've come up now, which is basically that most of the majority party's nominees, the president's nominees, got through. A couple didn't make it because you kind of have to give a sacrifice to the minority for their protests, and then everybody agrees to try to behave a little better in the future, and that's what's just happened here.
So much ado about nothing ultimately?
Pretty much. I mean, there could still be. I mean, the thing about this one is they haven't come up with any sort of new standard. In 2005, they decided that senators should not filibuster a judicial nominee except in, quote, extraordinary circumstances. Of course, every senator was left to define for himself what those were, but still it was kind of a new standard. Here we don't have it. We really have kicked the can down the road. So I could see this whole thing happening again in a few months.
All right.
Byron York, I know you're always so good at looking on the horizon to the next presidential election, but if you could just stop at 2014 for a minute in your visions, I'm seeing this sort of stack up for the Democrats. You've got the immigration bill coming in, that is, to appeal to the Latino vote. You've got the Texas abortion bill that just got pushed through and elevating Wendy Davis and her filibuster. That's the old war on woman thing. And now you've got the Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman case. You see the Attorney General playing racial politics down there in front of the NAACP. Is the Democrat strategy to try to do this big picture kind of campaign in 2014 and hopefully change the tide in the House leadership with these big issues instead of running it on a local level?
No, I don't think so. I don't think you'll see that being. I mean, you have to remember something like the Wendy Davis matter, for example. There's really majority support in the United States for limiting abortions after 20 weeks. I mean, there's obviously majority support in the Democratic Party for the right to choose, but it's not something that's going to really play in a lot of the red or purple states that Democrats might want to win a few seats in. And I think their bigger worry is going to be that Obamacare will be a reality in 2014, at least for the individual mandate and the exchanges. And if it turns out to be better than anybody thought, they're in good shape. If it turns out to be as bad as some people predict, they're in serious trouble.
Which leads me to actually my seamlessly segued follow-up question.
You are so professional.
Today the Republicans are going to vote about Obamacare. Do you think it's a smart idea for them to say, listen, Mr. President, you've unilaterally waived the employer mandate, therefore we are now going to push to waive the individual mandate? Is that the right way to go, or should they have actually told the president to put up or shut up? You wanted this law. You can't just unilaterally say, no, we're not going to do the employer mandate. It's all or nothing. Either follow the law or we're going to throw the whole thing out.
I think it's rhetorically kind of clever because they're saying to the president, well, look, big business complained about this, and you've given them a break.
Yeah, the 1%ers.
What about all the people out there who are going to have to comply with this mandate in the future and for whom health care costs may go up? What about big people? Are you just listening to big business? So I think that's rhetorically kind of clever. On the other hand, there is a debate among Republicans about what to do about Obamacare. I mean, they have voted 1 million times to repeal it, and that's always futile because we know it won't get through the Senate, and even if it did, the president would veto it. That's the reality right now. There are some Republicans who believe that it will collapse of its own weight as it's implemented, and they want to kind of let it go. And there are others who worry that once it goes into effect, the thing the administration will want to do and will do very effectively is get that subsidy money out the door so that millions of Americans will be receiving money from the government to buy health insurance. And once that happens, repealing Obamacare will not be a matter of an abstract matter of some repealing a law that's not yet in effect. It will be stopping payments to millions of Americans, much more difficult to do.
You know, that we have heard people, even on this show yesterday, someone said they think that what you suggested, that this may collapse under its own weight, that it's just a matter of time till the Democrats have to face the fact that this isn't going to work.
Well, Republicans actually believe that, but I mean, if they think that Democrats are going to admit that, or the president's going to come up and say, my signature achievement, I don't support it anymore. I think it was a big mistake. I mean, that is just not going to happen. And the way that the administration is going to try to make it work, even in a limited sense, is to get the subsidies up and running so that they can say millions of Americans who were previously uncovered are now receiving coverage. They're receiving help from the federal government. Are you going to take that away? And so I think that is going to be the basic political fault line after the beginning of 2014 when those subsidies actually begin.
Liz Cheney, the daughter of Dick Cheney, is going to run for the Senate in the state of Wyoming. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's going to be very divisive. Mike Enzi, the current Republican senator, 69 years old, not all that old in terms of the Senate, where they're almost as old as the Rolling Stones. So Enzi wants to run again, and immediately after indicating yesterday that he would run again, Liz Cheney said that she would run and challenge him. If you looked at the campaign video, the announcement video that she made, most of the video was devoted to her saying that she would vote against the same kind of things that Mike Enzi would vote against, because he has a pretty conservative record. She's going to be saying that she's younger, she's 46 compared to Enzi's 69, and that Enzi has been too willing to compromise with Democrats. But I think you've seen John Barrasso, the other senator from Wyoming, come out in support of Enzi. You're going to see a lot of the Wyoming political establishment, which greatly respects and reveres Dick Cheney and the Cheney family, still come out in support of Enzi. It's going to be a pretty divisive matter in Wyoming.
But either way, based on Wyoming politics, whoever wins that primary is going to be the senator, right? There's no...
Absolutely. You're going to have a conservative Republican senator from Wyoming. There's just no doubt about that. But will it divide the party in the state, and will it actually have some effect on the party nationally as well?
Byron York, chief political correspondent for Washington Examiner, well hydrated, and by the way, a great head of hair.
Yeah, that's what I've noted that.
Thanks for joining us.
Here.
Thanks, Byron.